Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State head coach. And Mike Gundy's got a lot of great ideas. He is one of those people who is constantly, blue sky thinking like, hey, there are no bad ideas. We're gonna throw some stuff out here. Mike Gundy wants to revive Bedlam, the Oklahoma State game, as a spring game. Let's make that. I mean, River, can you roll the clip from Pistols, guys?
Finale or whatever. What's your thoughts on spring games, and especially now with Dion going to court to try and take on Syracuse in an exhibition?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's something that we've talked about. I think it's a great idea. I have kind of forgot about it until it got brought up. Somebody had texted me an article or something about that, and when you read it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, for us, we should do a home and home with OU in the spring. They have I think ours is on, I don't know what the date is, but it's a Saturday prior to the last week, something like that. Okay, so they should come here on the 19th, and I think theirs is earlier in the year. We should go down there and play a home and home in the spring against them. Charge $25 a head. They can use it for NIL. We'll use it for NIL. If they don't want to do two in one spring, we can do one here this year, do it there next year, and split the gate. Because we get tired of practicing against each other. It's not going to be a live game because, I don't know what Coach Venables would say, but I would be concerned with making it live just because of injury. But nobody really has live scrimmages anymore, so you make it a full thud like we're doing and practice against them just like they do in the NFL.
I see no issues with this because he qualified it by saying exactly what your next question was going to be. That video, by the way, from Pistols, guys, that's how you have to do it. Because Oklahoma is not going to put John Mateer in there for the entire game if he's live. But if you do it like this, if you do it like a joint NFL practice, you invite fans to come and pay, and you say it's going to benefit the school's NIL funds or however you want to do it. You get to watch John Mateer throw the ball. You get to see what Oklahoma State's going to look like. You see what Oklahoma's going to look like. Who says no?
Okay, so I was all about this up until the end when he said we wouldn't play a live game. Now, bear with me here. We have a problem in my house where birds fly into the window like once every 10 minutes, and I have no idea what to do. Is that they just like...
I think your house is just cursed. That might be the problem.
A guy is here right now, but these birds fly into the windows because it's surrounded by trees. So I would want this. If you don't say spring Bedlam unless there's a competitive aspect to it.
No, right? I'm telling you, you are letting perfect be the enemy of good, because there is no chance in hell that Oklahoma is going to risk the John Mateer investment on a spring game.
I'm not done.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
They have, how spring games when they played, because Andy, it hasn't been that long since spring games were basically games, right? We act like that was 25 years ago. 5 years ago, they played each other.
Not really. I mean, Jim Harbaugh usually did. That's not many other ones did.
I mean, I covered spring games at Ohio State where they played a football game.
Yeah, because they're super deep at Ohio State. Most schools couldn't do that.
But you can agree that there are games.
Yes. And Georgia did it too. Yes, agreed.
In these games, they've always had different rules, right? Like how you draft the teams, who's on what team, how many points does the defense get? How many points does the offense get? It's different everywhere. But what if they came to a conclusion? Because if you want to bring the gate into it and you want to monetize it, you have to give the fans something to get excited about. And I know they get excited about watching young players play, but what if they have predetermined rules of 2 drives with the starters, 2 quarters with twos, and then the 4th quarters with the 3s? But they play a game and they care about.
Can you tackle John Mateer during those two drives with the starters?
If you want to make the 2 or 3 drives or even 1 quarter of starters where the quarterbacks aren't live, but everyone else is, then fine, do it. But get joint agreements from both coaches of how you want to do it and play a freaking game. Because we don't get this game. You want to give fans at Oklahoma State and Oklahoma bragging rights of winning Bedlam like that. Like, if you want to call it, then don't call it Bedlam. Like, am I crazy?
Well, here's the thing. You're not going to get a full game in the spring. It's never going to happen in this era where the best players on each team are also the players that each team is most invested in. It's the same reason you don't see stars play in the NFL preseason. So you're not going to get that. What they should do is just schedule a non-conference game against each other, because
that's the obvious one. I mean, I wish we could have a non-con Bedlam, but don't,
because like Oklahoma doesn't get to go say, well, we play an SEC schedule now. Like, I don't know how to break this to you, Oklahoma, but there's 4 SEC schools that have in-state rivals that are in different conferences, and they all play each other.
Exactly. Right.
Like Florida and Florida State aren't scared of each other. Georgia and Georgia Tech aren't scared of each other. Like they just play.
Florida played Miami and Florida State, didn't they, last year?
They did. And they'll play them again this year.
Yeah. So, they're playing 2. I think that this should be played. Like, I don't want to hijack the conversation because we don't need to relitigate that Bedlam should be played. There's nobody that watches this show that disagrees with that, right?
Right.
And I don't even think people within the programs disagree with it. Do they? Like, I know Gundy wants to play it. You saw how he threw a fit when that happened.
Well, of course Gundy wants to play it. That's a huge game for them.
Wants to play it or no?
I don't think it's as important for Oklahoma as it is for Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma has the Texas game. But I do think it's a great game. I mean, I see this with the SEC schools. Like, the Florida-Georgia game is the big conference rivalry, but people would go insane if Florida State got canceled.
So help me out with this, because I am a Northern Yankee and I have just recently moved to Texas. I'm not as familiar 100% but my understanding of this is that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State hate each other, right?
They do. Yeah.
And if they do, getting together for spring grab ass is what friends do. Like, that's not what rivals do, right? Like, am I wrong? Like, there are rivals that work together. I mean, each other in the spring and work together, and be slappy in April.
Are Oklahoma and Texas not rivals?
Oklahoma and Texas are rivals, and they work to make the most money possible outside of it, but they don't play grab ass together off the field.
Well, I think they would if it made money. And so, if we're not going to get it any other way, I'll take this. Also, I'll just take this. It doesn't even have to be Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma State wants to go play Arkansas and Oklahoma wants to go play, Kansas.
I love the idea.
I don't care.
So I'm not trying to crap on that. I don't want that to be misconstrued. I want like the Syracuse, Colorado thing to happen. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
We talk about that. But I just don't love the idea of naming it Bedlam in the spring if there's no competition. Like, we have to figure out a way.
Then ignore the name. It's just a name.
We could call spring joint practices grab ass, right? Is that okay?
If you want. I think they would call it Bedlam, and you can call it grab ass, and they won't give a crap what you call it.
Change the graphic, River, to spring grab ass.
But that is what it would be. But that's okay. It's the spring. I'm all right with it, because if you're not going to give us Bedlam any other way, and it doesn't seem like they're going to, I'll take this.
I would buy a spring grab ass t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wish there was a way that they could have bragging rights, but maybe I just want the whole pie instead of a slice. Maybe that's just my problem.
They should play each other. There's no question they should play each other in the fall. That is not really up for debate, as you said. But if we can't get that, I would take this. It would be fun. It would add some spice to something that's not really interesting right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anything to make spring more interesting, I guess I'm for. And if we got what you're proposing, that would be great. I'm not trying to say that it wouldn't be good, but I just there's just an extra oomph there that I want. And
the other thing is, I go back to I always loved Steve Spurrier's spring game strategy, which was completely handicap the defense. Can't hit the quarterback, can't blitz, can't do this. He did this on purpose. The reason he did it was so that the quarterbacks should just air it out. The fans would get to watch all these bombs get completed, and they'd be like, "We got the best offense ever," and they wouldn't complain for 4 months. So
yeah, but then
you do this and just turn it into flag football.
There is. What if they played a flag football bedlam?
I might be for that.
Get together for 3 practices or 2 practices, whatever, like they do in the NFL, and then play a game that's competitive in some way.
Do it like the high school kids do in the camps, where you have the 7-on-7 game and the lineman challenge.
Yeah, I mean, you can tear your ACL running a route. So, like, I mean, it's like you're never going to avoid the risk of injury. It's football, like it happens, And I understand if you're paying John Mateer millions of dollars to come save your program, you don't want him to break his elbow in a spring game. Like, I understand the concept, but like, I just like also too, it just isn't that long ago that people were hitting each other in the spring. And also the spring is still 5 months before the season starts in a lot of cases. So even injuries you can get over or heal.
A torn ACL, torn Achilles, that sort of thing. There are other injuries that you can overcome in that time period. So listen, I think this, and I'm interested because Deion Sanders is dead serious about this. Fran Brown from Syracuse is dead serious about this. Mike Gundy has thought this through. The schools make the rules. All they have to do is change the rules and play these things.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope we get to this point. It seems like we're going to. I think that like eventually, and my hope for college football has always been this, Andy, that as we get closer to just like rev share and potential collective bargaining, then eventually that common sense will start prevailing in things in college football, because common sense hasn't prevailed in this sport for years. And I wonder if we're getting to a point where we're going to be able to get closer to doing things that just make sense, because you don't have to worry about the financial implications of everything all the time.
Well, and now you still worry about the financial implications, but the issue hasn't been worrying about the financial implications of things. The issue has been you have all these universities running everything. Well, what are and they're mostly public universities. Like, how are public universities run? With massive bureaucracy. So that's their default mode, is massive bureaucracy. It's not, here's a great idea, let's do it. It's, here's an idea, let's form 17 committees to shoot holes in it, and then maybe 2 years from now, we'll form another committee to talk about it again, but we'll never actually do anything.
Next segment, the college football playoff committee that feeds their results to the actual committee, who then makes the results. Wouldn't that be cool if there's like a subcommittee?
Listen, that is every university president's dream right now.
Yeah, me, you, Josh Pate, and all the other podcasters out there.
Yes.
We get in a room and we make our bracket, then we hand it to them, and then they use that as a starting.
So we're the subcommittee that hands to the committee. I like it. I'm all for it.
I really truly believe that the 12 of us, if you got Bud Elliott and all these guys together in the same room, and we just approached it the way that we approach it on our shows, that we would put together as good, if not better, of a bracket than the ones who
I think it would look very similar.
It'd be the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. Guys, let's have spring bedlam. Let's have spring whatever you want. Just look, you are the schools. You make the rules, change the rule, and play the game. It is less complicated than you think. Do it.